Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to the final episode of XVlog Live for 2023. Big thank you for everyone that tuned in to last night's primetime gaming. I was itching to do podcasting, folks. We were away for Christmas. We were away for the day after, and I was ready to rock and roll. And, well, the news does not seem to slow down. And for the next, 75, 80 minutes, maybe even 90 minutes today, because we have a special guest joining me and C Money. We're going to get into it. And obviously, there is one last show of the year that will be Breakfast with Boom tomorrow morning. That is going to be fire. We have a lot to get into there, but we have a lot to get into here. And as you saw from the title of my Xbox posting or YouTube posting, Starfield has gotten a platinum rating on Steam in their top 10 of most purchased games, meaning that they made money. And I was under the impression, thanks to the IGNs and the GameSpots and the Kotakus, that one, this is a 7 game. So why is anybody, I don't know, buying a 7 game, a game that's rated as a 7? Why did it turn out that Xbox and Starfield were the most reported entities in 2023? They had the most articles. I wonder why that is. Good, bad, or otherwise, people are still talking about it. As a matter of fact, there are still people writing negative articles because we learned, C Money, that Starfield is one of the, in the last couple of weeks, has gotten the highest bad reviews on Steam, meaning that people are playing it for potentially hundreds of hours and then realizing that this is a bad game. As a matter of fact, I saw somebody that posted, and of course, no names on this show, right? We don't name the nameless, right? Played for nearly 900 hours and said it's a mid-game. Look, I'm here to tell you, folks, you have a problem if you're playing a game for 900 hours that you think is mid. Go sit on a couch and hash this shit out. But, C Money, how you doing, brother? How you feeling?
Oh my god!
You didn't expect that from me. I'm sorry. The second topic really got under my skin and it kind of fired me up a bit. So,
dude, I love it. I love it. Talk that shit, brother. That's what's good, man. Holy shit. Well, listen. First of all, Boom, thank you for having me here. I know it's. I was not able to be on the show last week. I had
because you were doing something relatively important, folks. He was celebrating his anniversary with the missus, which was dope. Congratulations!
Yes, thank you so much, man. Yeah, 18 years with my doodle, my wife doodle, not just my doodle.
Well, you're a lot older than 18, so
yeah, a little bit. But yeah, so that was awesome. So yeah, it was glad to be back. First of all, happy holidays to everybody. Hope everybody had a great Christmas.
Yes, indeed.
Man, New Year's this year flew by. It's crazy.
I mean, it started out with a bang last year with some of the announcements, and we're expecting that 2024 is going to continue the trend, especially if you're an Xbox fan, because we have heard, and again, this is a rumor, we don't have it on good account because, no one has officially said anything from Xbox, but Tim Dog is out in these streets, and he did say to look towards the end of January, which suggests to me that we might actually get a developer's direct, and I would imagine that developer's direct is going to somehow encompass Hellblade 2, which is expected in the first quarter of 2024. But it's the second story that kind of really got under my skin. As a matter of fact, like I said, I was talking with King David for about an hour this morning, and we were kind of, going back and forth with our opinions. And it's a story, folks, that was written by Sam Tolbert of Windows Central Gaming. And again, Sam, he does some good work. I've used some of his stories in the past. This isn't a hit piece on Sam per se. He is, of course, entitled to his opinion. but his opinion is skewed, and I think that it is an opinion that is wrong. Again, I'm not going to. He wants to argue the point of what he wrote, and we're going to get into that, Fuzzy Belvedere. I think that, and I'm going to read you my tweet. That again, I normally kind of give you a paragraph, and I call it square. And I don't never use the 280 characters. I wrote an epilogue that was 3 paragraphs long because it really bothered me because I don't understand the credit that Sony is getting. Why are they getting credit? Why are they be giving carte blanche? Because they're the market leader? Well, look what they've done in 2023. As a matter of fact, I have queued a list of what they've done wrong and the one thing that they've done right. And we will have that conversation on the back end. But Fuzzy, thanks so much for joining us, brother. Super appreciate it. Missed you on Monday.
Mhm.
I'll be back at it tomorrow, brother. Thanks so much.
Oh, glad to be here with you guys. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that we've been seeing towards the later part of the year, a certain game keeps on coming up in mentions and things like that. The most written about game all year, and people still have issues or want to claim it's dead, and people have forgotten about it, but yet they still talk about it. And then with Windows Central, Sony, on occasion they do things right, but this one was kind of weird with the free DLC. And if anything, the free DLC should have been for the remaster of the Last of Us 2, and they probably could have gotten away with charging for God of War, but they gave it for free. But that doesn't mean that we need to all of a sudden cater to that, because considering most of the DLC that we get already with Xbox has already been free. But yeah, we'll get into more details and nuance and all that later on. But man, it's so great to be here. Awesome year. Looking forward to 2024. Man, if this is an indicator of what Xbox is bringing with this year, I can only imagine what next year is going to be like. But let's do this.
Well, let's open up with the Starfield talk, because obviously we have talked about this to death. We have been told by the gaming media that this is a mid experience, that it's not that big of a deal, that bots, as they're known, or Xbots, are overhyping a game. There really wasn't much to it, but we know that there are people that have spent weeks playing this game and continue to play this game. As a matter of fact, I've seen some people who have New Game Plus it double-digit times, and every time they do it, there's a new story, there's a new ending, there's more to tell, there's more story in there, which is pretty ridiculous when you consider the size of this game in just a single format. I beat it once, and I started New Game Plus, and I kind of put it down, not because I was bored, because I have to actually get back to other games that I haven't finished, and it's quite frankly a lot of them. So listen, the game is something special, but the question is, how special is this game? And does sales matter? Because I think we have had shoved down our throat the entire year PlayStation 5 sales. And even though I congratulate Sony for putting out, and I quite like my PlayStation 5, congratulations on selling PlayStation 5s. That's wonderful. You're at a pace that they're going to outdo the PlayStation 4. Congratulations. Let's throw confetti. But if that is the metric that it's being used here, we have to then turn our attention, ladies and gentlemen, to Steam. Now, Steam has ratings that go from platinum to gold to silver to bronze. And you know what's interesting? Not one PlayStation game got out of the bronze. Now, again, I'm going based on the conversation we had with King David. I didn't check for myself. I did check the gold and the silver. So if I get it wrong, I'll admit it publicly. That's not a problem. But here is the interesting point, C-Money. We were told by former PlayStation officials, we were told by the gaming media, we were told by the PlayStation fan base that because a game goes into Xbox Game Pass, which has been called welfare pass by some very ignorant individuals in the community, that a game cannot sell. That it's an absolute detriment to the developer. It's an absolute detriment to the platform. There is absolutely no way in gaming space across the universe that a game could actually sell and make money. Well, guess what? That, my friends, has been debunked because in the platinum level for Steam, which is their top 10 selling games based on revenue, Starfield happens to be in there. So my question is, where are all the rebuttal articles about Game Pass on for PC and for Xbox being a detriment to the platform, not doing justice for the developers? And now we're starting to, after we get this good news, what do they follow it with, C Money? Well, Starfield, people are coming back and re-reviewing it and saying they don't like it. So it's the most unreviewed game on Steam. I mean, folks, I got to be honest with you. If you're running these narratives, you probably should play some more games. I'm just saying, like, if you have to continually change the narrative to fit your conversation, I'm here to tell you you're doing it wrong. Let's talk about it, C Money.
Yeah, no, 100%. This is it's asinine at this point. Like, I don't understand. So it's funny because you talked about the second story, which has Windows Central in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in this story, Windows Central is here again, actually, because if you look at their story and their tweet on this subject, you made a good point right now. You just said, where's the rebuttals? Like, where's them coming back and saying, clearing it up, like talking about that side, the other opposite side of it. But what Windows Central did is they fed right into the same machine, talking about how, the reviews are down to mostly negative, and then you go into the story, and then the headline says that Starfield's going to end the year at mostly negative, and it's like, when you look into Steam and see where it is, it's not mostly negative, right? It's just the recent reviews, right? They had a whole bunch of recent reviews that went ahead and did this and dropped it from mostly positive to mostly mixed review. Okay. So it's ending the year in mixed reviews, not mostly negative, right? But they want to frame it that way. And
Yep.
Between this one and the second topic we're going to talk about, I feel like Windows Central looked at their end of the year numbers and said, holy shit, we're not going to get there. Our numbers are not where we want them to be. What can we do? Let's join in with the popular thing to do and pile on to Starfield, right? And that is, number one, it's sad, right? It's sad that this website, Windows Central, which is, you would think, or you kind of have the idea that it leans more towards Xbox. So maybe you would frame it, to not be so damning of it, right? When you know that this is a tiny subset, even with I think there's like 80,000 reviews on Steam. Even when you take that number, there's 13 million people who've played this game.
Yeah, and it's going up every month or every other week. It's like, hey, we hit, because remember, it started out with 10, and then we heard it was 12. Then last week we heard it was 13. It's the holiday, people are playing games, people are getting Xboxes. Would it surprise you in the least, C Money, if it went up to 14 next week? Not me.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And it's crazy that instead of taking the opportunity to flip the narrative, they just fell right into it. So listen, at 13 million, I'm not worried about 80,000 or 90,000 reviews that at the end of the day are ultimately between mixed and positive for the vast majority of them. But because of the onslaught of the little bombardment they had of negative review, it brought it down to mixed. And it's just like they're so desperate and thirsty for this game that is why they keep doing this, right? You look at some of these things, they have like 400 hours, something like that. The last time they played a game 2 weeks ago, they haven't touched a game in 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're like, oh, let me leave this negative review. All at the same time. This is like a community affair. I think they have I forgot who it was who said it, but it's like they probably have like a secret Discord in the back. They're like, okay, you guys ready? Let's do this, right? Let's take this shit down. I never seen such a group of people who are supposed to be at the top, right? Like they're supposed to be at the top of the pot, representing PlayStation, the biggest, #1 console, all this fun stuff. But since they don't have any games to play, they spend all their time focusing on the game that they will never have. Did you see somebody? I think it was Jacob. Somebody sent it to me. There's this guy who's saying that Starfield is going to come on PlayStation.
Yeah, I
next year.
actually, I tweeted on that. Please don't pay any mind to the guy behind the curtain.
Crazy shit.
That is, I actually commented on it. It is. I actually I didn't say much outside of giving you the definition of copium, and in parentheses I put i.e. Starfield coming to PlayStation 5 next year. So there wasn't much to say because, well, it's a really horrible take that someone that's probably using it as engagement to get the pennies that you get from X, like we've seen so many other journalists do. I guess they're not getting enough money from their job that they write about currently, so they figured let me throw something ridiculous out there, get engagement, and get that $22 check. Good on you if you get that.
Get that $20.
Yeah, I'll read it. It's Hataro Kayo Nabetu. He says, breaking. Starfield exclusive game for Xbox Series X and PC will arrive next year on PlayStation, according to my sources. I don't have a firm date yet, but it will be a shadow drop that will probably occur in the middle of the year. Apparently, this is Xbox's new strategy. Really? Wow, folks. Breaking news live on the air. You heard it here. So, of course, my quick and very popular, I got a lot of likes on this one, was copium, and a definition of it. And I simply said, once again, i.e. Starfield will come to PlayStation in 2024. Folks, it's not happening. Unless PlayStation gets Game Pass, it's not happening. Right. And guess what? They don't want it. And Microsoft, look, folks, I'm here to tell you, PlayStation is selling a lot of consoles, but the truth of the matter is that Xbox doesn't need PlayStation. PlayStation needs Xbox, and that is a fact because quite literally the finances say it. As a matter of fact, I have a story queued just to kind of add more salt into the wound here. Now, this comes to us from Paul Tassi. I like Paul. Obviously, he writes for Forbes. This is concerning the giant leak. And one of the most, I think, damning parts of the leak, and again, let's be real here, the most important or the most sad part of the leak was the fact that Insomniac employees got their information put out there. I don't want to kind of dumb down that fact. That is scary. And once it's out in the ether, folks, that's it. And now they have to pay for services. Hopefully Sony is paying for these services to monitor their credit so things aren't bought in their names. And that is terrifying. And that, of course, my heart goes out to every developer that was affected. And I blame Sony for that. But one of the most damning things to come out of this leak, and it's a simple sentence, folks. PlayStation said this in their internal documents, C Money, that they are absolutely sure Microsoft, Xbox, will in fact leapfrog them when it comes to position of platform. They said that. I am not making that up. And that's in this story that was written by Paul Tassi of Forbes. And it is a fact. And the truth of the matter is that once Xbox Game Pass has the ability to dole out a new Call of Duty, whenever that is, whether that continues to be every year or every other year, PlayStation is going to see a migration happen because people are tired of paying through the nose for everything on that console and on that platform. And when you can get Call of Duty, whatever, this year next year it's going to be Gulf War for $16.99. your wallet is going to tell you, well, why spend 76.43 if you're in New York when you can pay 16.99? It just doesn't make any sense. People are going to move. But please continue, C
Right.
Money.
No, I mean, like that. What you just said is the problem with what's happening right now. That's why they're doing this, and that's why it's so ridiculous, because this is the life they know they have coming. Right? They know that Starfield is just the first, right? The first
Yep.
big one that's coming out. Right? They know we have many big ones lined up, and you already see them. Right?
Pause.
They're starting to write about Hellblade 2, right? They want to go ahead
Yeah.
and they're already trying to get that ball rolling, right? Where they're going to try to downplay that or put
It's
this
the most
unnecessary pressure.
important exclusive in Xbox
Most
history.
important in the world. Don't mind the fact that right after that we have Avowed and South of Midnight and Clockwork Revolution, all these other games. Like, the fuck out of here! Like, get out of here with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just it's so ridiculous
It is.
that they do this. And again, you were saying it when you were first bringing up the topic, but like, there's people on there that you clearly know that they went ahead and did it for
malicious
did it.
reasons.
Yeah, they did it for malicious reasons. Like, you see they have like 0.8, like some of the reviewers, like 0.8 hours, and then they say playing my part. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Like, you're playing your part, putting in a negative review after playing it for 0.8 hours. Great. All right, that's dope. This is great. And then again, you got these people who play forever. 400, 500, 8. Like, come on, man. You know that you cannot play a game for 400 hours if the game is not at least good. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the only game you own, apparently. Right? So there's no way you could have beaten like 10 games in that time frame, but you sat there and hate played Starfield. No, right? No, it's a lie. And the fact that, again, I'm going to keep bringing it back to them because I'm very annoyed by the situation that they are doing with Windows Central, man. Why? Like, why are you taking this stance where you want to feed into the same bullshit? I mean, I guess the answer is they're giving into the dollars, but then, like, do they just they're smallish, right? They're not big like IGN or any of these other big places, but they're not small like, regular small places. But it's like, you honestly, you thrive on this type of community, and then the Windows community, right? So when it comes to gaming, though, this is the community that's here. Why are you doing these sly attacks on the side? You know what I'm saying? Just to get the pony clicks. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's I'm a little annoyed by that. I think that bothers me a little more than the whole thing, because people are going to do this, right? Like, we knew this. They did it in the beginning. That's the only reason there were so many mixed to negative reviews when the game first came out, because they were doing it on purpose, right? Because there's no way you can look at the game and say, yeah, it's
engagement
all
is
engagement.
such a huge number for websites, because obviously print is no longer a thing. No one's running to their local Optimo like I did with my brother Neo Mental to get the latest edition of Gamers Republic or Next Gen Gamer. You know what I'm saying? That no one's doing that. People are clicking, and obviously people are reading titles. These very auspicious titles that you're like, oh wow, and you click it, and you literally fall for it. That's what it's what their job is. It is disappointing when you start to see some of the websites, and again, I'm not specifically focusing on Windows. And I really, do me a favor, send me both of those, because I have the Sam Talbot one that we're going to talk about, but I want to see the other one because I did not see that, and maybe that's my fault for missing it because of the holidays. But I want to see that, because if I really hope they're not going down that road, because it would be very disappointing if they were. There's no need for that. There is a big enough audience that tunes in for because my thing is this. One of the things you'll find on this channel, especially if you're finding the channel for the first time, we will report the negativity, right? We will talk about a leaked document or a situation like Insomniac, we won't poke fun at it. We certainly will not, because, like I said, that's people's lives. So no one's making fun of it. But here we do promote inclusiveness and transparency, and more importantly, positivity. And that's my brand. That's what we do here. And I do put Paul Tassi, I do put Jez Corden, I do put Tom Henderson and Tom Warren. These are who I look to as a content creator, as journalists I can trust. And that when they go out and they say something, they are not doing it for the clicks. They are doing it because they want to inform the people that are subscribed to their particular news feeds. Windows
Yep.
Central I have always deemed as being tip of the spear. I hope that they're not trying to become the next Kotaku, and I don't think so. But I don't like to see that kind of behavior one way or another.
Well, it just looks like end of the year desperation to me. And I think they look at their numbers, are like, all right, we need to boost them up. It has to be, because it can't just be this random.
Well,
they can't be that ignorant to it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you might be onto something, because the second story, which we'll get to in the second half, is a bit of a conundrum. You were just as perturbed about it as I was. We're going to get to that in a hot second. Yeah. And again, you're right. Maybe they are looking at the numbers. I don't know, because I'm not looking at the numbers for hey, let's post a negative. Let's post a negative headline on my YouTube channel. Oh man, I'll get the clicks. No, the headline is what the headline is, and if you watch, great. If you don't, oh okay, well someone else will. It is what it is. But then again, I do this for fun. I'm not doing this to pay my employees, because there is no employees. It's just Mrs. Boom and me. But
agreed.
I want to bring Fuzzy Belvedere into the conversation. Now, the Starfield conversation is funny on a lot of ways. Now, I pulled a tweet from Idle Sloth, who is one of many in this community that consistently drop incredible pieces for the community to digest, as well as for the content creation community like us, who use as talking points. And one thing that we did learn for 2023 is that Xbox was the most covered company within gaming across all forms of media. But this is the interesting part. Starfield has been the most covered game in 2023. Now, regardless of whether that's negative, lukewarm, or the greatest thing since sliced bread, it's a game that people, even on December 28th, 2023, continue to talk about. Again, the negativity, we know, the sevens, IGN, no, this game is not worth my time. You get the story just the other day about, well, the Steam, it's going down. But no one is racing to the front of the line and say, hey, listen, this game, it's considered a platinum release on Steam. It made revenue. Nobody's talking about that. And I think we have to talk about that, because folks, all you have to do to put relevance to this conversation on the importance of Starfield for Bethesda, for Xbox, and its millions of fans. And I think this is the highlight. This is the key. And I really want you to dig your heels in here, Fuzzy. How many times have we all either said it ourselves or heard from someone on a podcast, from gaming media, in a magazine, in a newspaper, wherever, that 2023 has garnered one of the best groups of new IP and sequels in gaming history, even challenging the legendary 2007.
Yeah.
How many times? Thousands of times. So, Fuzzy Belvedere, if in fact that is true, and I kind of believe that it is, because just look at the plethora of games from January 1st to what's potentially going to release on December 31st. I guess if Starfield was the biggest POS that everyone says that, or some people say it is, would it have made it into Steam's platinum level? The answer is no. So why aren't we talking about this? Why aren't we parading this gaming media? I'm curious, because you know what it's going to do it's going to make the same journalists that dumped all over this game, that probably have the lights off, have the blinds down low, they close the curtains, they put on the game, and they send play 3, 4, 5, 600 hours, 8 playthroughs, and they go to their little computer and they go, this game sucks, just for engagement. They're hiding under the covers, right? They're hiding under the covers. They're playing it, and behind them is right behind them is the shrine to PlayStation, but they don't want PlayStation to see them, so they cover themselves. And all the light you see is the TV. That's the envision that I get from a lot of these ridiculous journalists. Come on, let's talk about it.
Well, I think it's even worse than that, because I've tried my best to be objective on this, and had it not been for the recent Ragnarok DLC, show me one article in the past 2 months about God of War. Show me one article about Horizon Forbidden West after it came out. Like 2 months after it came out, show me one article. Not the one about the VR add-on thing that came out later. Show me one article about
no one's talking about because VR is flatlined, but please continue.
And if it wasn't for it being nominated for Game of the Year, would we still be talking about, Spider-Man 2? Oh, that's right, because of the hack. Of course, we would be talking about, Spider-Man 3 and its multiple parts, and how Insomniac has been relegated to a Marvel studio at this point. But it's funny to me when people keep on saying, well, the player numbers are going down on a single player game. Okay. You could add up every PlayStation game that's ever released on Steam, and it will never equal what the average daily current is for Starfield right now. Look it up. Every PlayStation game that's ever come to Steam, add them all up. They don't even equal to what Starfield is at its current moment. Not at its peak, at its current moment. So that's food for thought when it comes to the player numbers dwindling on a single player game. And we all saw, what's his name? Dustin Legary get, Xbox taxed in his face kind of thing. And that's, Xbox has no games because that's what people say on the internet kind of deal. And he already put the target on his back when he brought up the whole Xbox tax and denied that IGN has any involvement in that or that it doesn't exist. But all of that aside, they if they're not talking about the numbers, they're talking about how they forgot about a game. But if you really forgot about a game, why are there like 5 or 6 articles, one at least a week, about it being a forgotten game? A forgotten game is something that you don't talk about. Let's talk about Forspoken. That's a forgotten game. I haven't seen anybody talk about that since they disbanded the group or disbanded the dev team and merged them into the ones for Final Fantasy 16. Another game that gets forgotten about is Final Fantasy 16. What happened to that group? Well, they didn't perform because it was only on the PS5. And just like Jim Ryan said, it's not enough to meet those numbers or whatever standards they have as far as for sales. So they eventually disbanded that group or merged them into other groups. So if we're going to talk about forgotten games, let's be real and look at a game that within the past 6 to 12 months doesn't have any articles about it. Like any of the Uncharted's, anybody talking about them? Anybody? Nobody's talking about Uncharted?
No, not even close.
I mean, other than the occasional fan that wants the 60 frames mode for Bloodborne, that's not even talked about enough. Not by the media. It's just by the fans that want the 60 frames. But outside of that, nothing. Do we hear anything about Demon's Souls? Oh, that's right. It came out as a launch title. So, of course, nobody's talking about it at this point. I don't know. And here's the funny part. I play a lot of GT7 and nobody's talking about that either. Like Spec 2, which was probably their biggest expansion or update since the game came out, which I'll be honest, 1 track and 6 cars and a couple of different modes. That's not an update, really. That's like pity, content added after the fact kind of thing. When you look at something like Horizon or Forza Horizon or Forza Motorsport,
monthly updates, dude. Monthly.
Sometimes weekly. There's a different couple of cars every week. So to have like 7 cars and a snow track that's not even a real track, it's like, come on, are we really talking about updates at this point? But nobody's talking about that, and I play it a lot, and honestly, other than the movie, I think more people talked about the movie, which, yeah, that's more recent, obviously, but more people talked about the movie than the game. And that shouldn't be the thing when it's based on a game. You should really be focused on the game or the long-standing tradition of that series. But nobody's talking about it. It's funny to me when all of the macroeconomic engineers and pundits out there were talking about how something in Game Pass is going to be value destructive, and that, well, it's going to hurt sales. It's going to hurt the devs. We support the devs by buying these games, but
Yeah.
the leak showed that you guys really don't buy the games, and that only on Steam. Like, we're just talking about Steam. We're not talking about Xbox or the Windows Store as far as what it sold. It's outselling a majority of the titles that came out this year just on Steam. And there's some big players in that listing, like your Hogwarts, like your Baldur's Gate 3, and it's outselling them on just Steam. That's just one of multiple places to get it. And we already know that when it was on early access, which I believe early access was only on Windows or the Microsoft Store and Xbox, we already know that there was like 2 million players the first day or whatever from that, which means the people either bought the upgrade or they bought the $100 version. So, or the more expensive, or even higher than the $100 version. So,
Thanks.
this game actually sold quite a bit and had more than 1 million concurrent players within the first day, the actual official launch day. So there aren't that many other games that can say that as far as concurrent players. So, especially a single player game for that. But everybody wants to, badmouth Starfield. It's this disappointing game. Yet some people have like 400 hours. Like, I hate played Jedi Survivor, and it was only because I promise that will be the last EA title I ever spend money on. If it's not an EA play from here on out, I ain't buying it. They've had too many misses with broken games from release. Yep. Even 3 months later, it was still not patched to, I wouldn't say perfection, but to a playable state in many cases. That's a game I hate played. And you could probably check. I have probably less than 12 hours in it, whatever it would take to get it finished, and that's it.
You did it wrong, bro. You got to put like another 390 hours into it in order for you to say that you didn't like it.
No,
come on, you can't know in 12 hours. What's wrong with you?
At that point, it would just be tortured upon myself. Like, I sometimes may be sadistic in games with like chopping limbs off and things like that for some games, but I'm not going to sit up there and play
an
a
achievement.
Game
Get 60 limbs. Yeah, let's go for it. Chop those limbs off.
But I'm not going to sit there and play a game for 300, 400 hours that I don't like, especially in the year 2023 where there's endless amounts of games to.
And that's a great point. That is a great point. Yeah,
facts.
I would not waste my time if it wasn't a great game. But by the way, I still have roughly around 13 to 14 days in Starfield, which I still don't think it's counting all of my playtime. Like I said, and a lot of people in the chat probably heard, I had 3 simultaneous playthroughs going at the same time.
It's madness. How you're still able? You're not drooling? I don't get it, brother.
Well, I wanted to try all of the factions and in different orders, and try different things. Like, I wanted to see what it would be like to be a psychotic killer and shoot everybody that looked at you sideways.
Like my brother Neo Mental in his second playthrough, who murders entire ships. Yeah, that stay away from that dude.
but the game gives you so many options, and that's the thing that I don't understand. I can see some people being disappointed in what they may have expected out of it, but in the grand scheme of things, I look at Bethesda as, I wasn't necessarily the biggest Bethesda fan. I was more of a fan of their other studios. Like Prey was more of a title that appealed to me. Deathloop was more of a title that appealed to me. Ghostwire Tokyo and even the Evil Within and Evil Within 2 were more of titles that appealed to me. The what do you call them? Machine games titles, like when it comes to Wolfenstein. Doom, not as much, because I'm not quite the fast Twitch shooter kind of person anymore, but for the most part, I tried my best to get into Fallout 4. Never bothered with Skyrim. I'm not a high fantasy type of player. Just doesn't appeal to some extent, but I figured sci-fi is my jam. I'll give Starfield a try. Wasn't expecting to actually fall into it as much as I did. I just wanted to try to get through as much as I could before Forza came out. And I found myself at debating with whether I would start Forza at launch day because it was so gripping as far as the different opportunities and things that you can do in the story, and just the random events that you come across. Whether it's a dead ship floating in space that you happen to find, loot on, or you're rescuing, somebody
Yep.
that's been held hostage on the ship. I mean, there's just so many random things that some of them, yeah, they're kind of, quirky as far as like they're similar to sci-fi stories we've seen in other space movies, and some of them are just completely left field where you're between two realities, like a current reality and the past reality where things are fine, and the other reality is where everything is burned to hell, kind of thing. That game has so much potential and it delivers on so much good story and gameplay that I get it. If you're disappointed, I understand. There's going to be games that we are all disappointed in, and Jedi Survivor was that game for me. But when it comes to how people
But that was
pay
because of the
more,
bugs, right?
yeah,
Survivor was because of the bugs.
well, the
Yeah,
bugs,
for
yeah,
me
that was the
that's
biggest
and
thing.
again, I love the first one. I absolutely adored it. I put tons and tons and tons of hours into it.
Yeah.
I think I got up to double digits and I never went back because the bugs were so egregious. Like I don't know, this particular planet I was on, every time I would get like into an hour worth of play, it would
Mhm.
reset. And I'm like, ah man, okay. So I did it the first
Man.
time. I did it the second time. I was like, you know what? If you're not going to respect my time, I'm not going to play the game. And that's
Yeah.
ultimately what happened for me.
Now, for
Yeah.
me, there was a bit of predictability that there's a I don't want to spoil it or anything, but there was a character I didn't like from start, and I could tell since I couldn't kill him that person was going to be a problem. So I there was something about it that didn't feel like they put as much effort into it as they did the first one. The first one felt, I wouldn't say more pure, but it felt more, eye-opening kind of deal. But there were like there was a predictable moment, and I was like, they better not kill off this other character. And well, they didn't kill off the one I was thinking they were going to kill off, but they anyway. If you played it, whether you love it or hate it, I it was okay. I prefer the first one, but Starfield for me was that sci-fi game of the year, the game of the generation for me, because I know when they add more mods, I'm going to be coming back to it. I've already played around with some of the mods that are available on PC, which is, Microsoft is great. You get dual entitlement between the Windows Store and Xbox, but there's just it feels weird that everybody now wants to dislike this game almost to the same weirdness that they want to dislike Hogwarts, even though it's one of the best selling games until Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 came out. It's the best selling game all year because it's on everything, including the Switch. And nobody wants to talk about it for awards. Nobody wants to talk about it because of the source material author that you lover or hater, whatever the case is. I was never into Harry Potter prior to it, but the game as an open world magical game was appealing enough for my time, and
Facts.
Starfield, I think, was above and beyond that for at least for me, but I'm more of a sci-fi fan. But I just don't understand why there's like this not really pushback. Like I don't even remember seeing this much hate for Mass Effect Andromeda, and I kind of like that game because it was almost like a B-rated movie version of Star Trek kind of thing to some extent for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't understand why there's
It's
all this
Xbox, bro.
criticism. Well, yeah, the
You
Xbox
delete,
tax is
you go
strong.
into the document and then you just delete Xbox from the title anywhere around there, any relationship to Starfield, and
Mhm.
that's Game of the Year 2023.
It's
Easy.
Yeah.
funny. It's actually funny you
Not
say
even
that
blink
because
twice.
I have a belief, and I really do mean this, and I'm not being facetious in every way. I'm here to tell you folks that if Sony would have had it their way and ultimately got Starfield as an exclusive, like that's confirmed facts, folks. That is
Yes.
not a suggestion. They were trying to get Starfield as an exclusive. This game would have gotten from IGN and GameSpot and Kotaku and all of these rag mags a 10 out of 10, greatest PlayStation exclusive since the birth of gaming.
And it
There
would have
is
been
no,
2 years ago.
yeah,
2 years,
yeah,
because
2
Sony
years
wasn't
ago.
going to pay for extensions, right?
No, they
So it
would
would have
not.
been 2 years ago. The game would have been lesser than the one that we have right now,
Yep.
and it would have gotten tens, just like Deathloop, just like all those games, tens.
Yeah.
It's just what it is, man, and it's ridiculous. It's
It
ridiculous.
is, and you know what? I want to keep this ridiculousness subject going because the next story, folks, is going to blow off your wigs. So before we get there, just remember, Fuzzy had hair before starting the show. Now it's completely gone.
That's it.
Gone.
He read that one thing and it was like it's gone.
So let me catch up on the super chats and then we'll get to that second story, folks. First of all, Doc50 drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says Starfield is the prime example of the Xbox tax. Xbox is not allowed to be great. Indeed, they are not. They are being held down by the past of what they did, not being judged for what they're doing, unlike PlayStation, which we, of course, will get into because obviously they can do one right thing and my God, everyone's forgiven. But no, not on this show. Game Shark, who's been a channel member for 2 months, thank you so much for the generosity, says, imagine if Starfield was Bethesda's first game, it would be considered the most revolutionary game ever created. I still think that it is one of those games. I think that, and again, no spoilers here, some of the new game plus scenarios that I have seen are mind
blowing.
They are bonkers.
Like, that's Rockstar level of creating circumstances and situations that the vast majority of people are never going to see, but they still put just as much energy and thought into the tiniest of a minority who is going to do this. Like even I love the game. There's no way I'm going to do 20 playthroughs of it. It's like not going to fucking happen. And not because it's not worth it or good. I just don't have infinite time, and I got to play other shit. Right. But like they know that there's such a small amount of people, tiny, that are going to see half the shit that they put in this game, and they still put it in there. Some of those scenarios, Boom, I'm sure you're talking about the same ones that I've seen.
There are two in particular, which I don't want to spoil because they're
so dope.
They're so bombastic,
and nobody's gonna see it. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's gonna play that many times.
It's again, no spoilers here, folks. The it's two so that dope, and I'm pretty sure C Money's onto something. I think the two that we're talking about, compared to the original game, change it in such a dynamic way. My mind cannot be wrapped around how the story is going to move forward because of these ramifications of the changes that are that you're like, I where do we even go here? And that is a new game plus, and that is so, and that may be new game plus 1, that may be new game plus 8, and that's why I say this is where it's special. That outside of your initial playthrough, whether that be 40 hours or 400 hours, you start your new game plus and you get one of these scenarios, it literally will change the entire scope of your next playthrough. And that is where it becomes legendary. That's where it becomes a very special game, unlike anyone is doing. But people haven't gotten there, and and that's the other thing. Please don't get it twisted. We're not suggesting to you that you need to play 400 hours game before you like it, because look, Avatar came out. I pay for Ubisoft Plus, and I'm happy to pay my I think it's $18 a month, whatever it is. It's fine. I was like, Avatar, great. I'm into it. 3-4 hours, I was like, I'm out of it. I'm not playing this game anymore because I don't like the map. I don't like the hacking tool. I don't like the first person aspect of it. I know there's a whole flying thing I didn't get to, but I didn't continue playing a game because I felt as a gamer, I would rather put my time into something else. I'm not going to put 400
Boom,
hours.
you're not a real gamer.
Play this game. It's
You're not a real
ridiculous.
gamer.
I know. I should have.
400 hours before you can say that it's a bad game.
I know.
You're
Shame
not a
on
real
me.
gamer.
I'm hanging my head in shame, folks. I'm going to put the cone of shame on in a second. Jax82 drops a very generous $10 super chat and says Starfield is a huge success by sales and the numbers of players. This game is incredible. Bethesda has a hit on its hands and there are issues. Yes, my game froze and had to restart. And they're working on that. Yeah, I mean, listen, this game is not perfect. It does have bugs. It does have instances where, but that's every game, and I'm not making an excuse for it. It has it, but does that make it a 7? Does that make it an unplayable mess? No, it does not. Rich Maharg drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, I'm in the same age as you, and I'm finding it harder and harder to understand games. I'm really confused on Alan Wake. I can't even get through, I believe it's the Walking Dead Destinies or TWD Destinies. I think that's what it is, the Walking Dead. I mean, listen, Alan Wake is a great game, but it does have I'll tell you this right now. I simply like the boards that you have to put together when you're using Alan and the FBI agent. I absolutely hate it. I'm literally just putting things on the wall to see if they stick.
Yep.
And just move on so I can move on to the next thing.
They should give you like 2 modes, like an immersive mode if you want to sit there and put the dots and do all the connecting, or just like click the button and everything goes where it's supposed to go.
I kind of wish it was. I wanted what I was hoping. And don't get me wrong, Alan Wake 2 is phenomenal. Graphically, it's
all
amazing.
The in-betweens are fire.
But man, there's some stuff there that I do not dig, and yeah, that's one of them. Those boards and being stuck in the room. It's not, and you're not the only one that doesn't understand it. I don't get it. I'm like, what am I doing here? I consistently just slap things up there, and if it sticks, I won. If it doesn't, I gotta keep doing it. I'm gonna be honest with you.
What's worse is Alan's board. So that the girl's what's her name? Saga.
Yeah, her board is actually, she's a police officer, so she's doing it in you can figure that out.
Yeah, Alan's, like the pins are not crazy. It's Alan's board.
Alan's
like, what the
bonkers.
Like, what do you want me to do here, dude? Like, why is this happening to me right now? Get the fuck out of here.
All I want to do is shoot shadows. I wish it played like the original, to be honest with you. If it played like the original, it would I think it would have been my game of the year. But that particular part kind of lowered the score for me a bit. So you're not the only one, Rich. Don't sweat it. Splendiferous drops an outstanding $2 super chat, and he says this: Starfield, in all caps, by the way, Starfield is so bad, but they keep wanting it on PlayStation 5. Yeah, what a conundrum.
Yep. Next year they're going to get it.
Yeah, next year, according to his Mr. Man's inside sources, they're going to get it. All right. And Jax82 doesn't even say anything. He's enjoying the podcast. He drops, folks, an additional $5 super chat. So let's get to it, folks. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Again, I'm a fan of Windows Central. I know Jez personally. We've met in real life. I think he is tip of the spear when it comes to journalism and integrity. But this piece was not written by Jez Corden. This piece was written by Samuel Tolbert. And Windows Central Gaming is, of course, supporting their writer, and they're out there on the socials pushing his piece so you and I can go read it. Well, I will not read it. I will read the headline, and I'm going to read you a headline that got under my skin so much that when I read you what I wrote, you're going to be like, man, Boom is completely lost his mind. And this is what it says. This isn't just one of the best DLC launches of the year. It's a complete love letter to fans and the franchise, says Sam Tolbert on God of War Ragnarok's free Valhalla epilogue. And this is when Windows Central steps in and says, and he wants the Xbox team to take note. They want the Xbox team to take note because Sony finally gave their fans something for free. So before I lose my mind here, live on camera. Let me read to you, you fine folks, what I wrote. Okay. Now, again, I have to click on it because it's a multiple paragraphs, and it says this, folks. Okay, here is my hot take. After years of nickel and diming consumers for everything, including $10 upgrades, higher priced PS5 Slims, a price increase of $40 for PlayStation Plus with no additional content, a $30 stand to stand your PlayStation 5 vertically, you want to give credit to PlayStation now. I say it's about damn time that they give their fan base something for free. This, folks, this is what I said next. This is what starving PlayStation fans say after 2 horrible showcases, a lackluster year for first party, and a bleak 2024 and beyond. When this becomes the norm, we can then revisit this conversation. Until then, let's slow down the Pony Express. P.S. By the way, if there are anyone that needs to take notice, it's PlayStation. Maybe they need to look at Xbox Game Pass, ID at Xbox, and Xbox's industry-changing Xbox Series X and S smart delivery. So I had put this list together, folks, of what I believe to be PlayStation's failures in 2023. And this is where the Xbox needs to take note scenario is a bit of a conundrum. I'd even dare say a head scratcher. So here's the list of failures for PlayStation in 2023. Mind you, this is just this year. This is January 1st to the 31st, and we haven't even gotten, there's still 3 days left of the year. They could F up even more. PlayStation VR 2.0 failed. No one's talking about it. Sony isn't developing for it. They're closing studios for VR that are going to make games for it. Failed. Jim Ryan gets shown the door for idiotic behavior as a CEO. PlayStation raises PS Plus by $40, adding nothing to the service to justify the cost. Only one single-player game released in 2023, Spider-Man 2, good game, but only one. PlayStation Studios turned into Gas Game Company, and then, of course, they were turned, and then they had to be unturned. So I guess before Jim left, he stabbed somebody and killed the head vampire, and they went from Gas Games back to single player. I don't know. No roadmap for 2024 and beyond. Have any of you fine folks seen the articles for the concerns of what PlayStation is doing in next year and the year after that? Not even one of them. No one's concerned because, well, they're the market leader. So whenever they poop, it smells like roses. It's great. Okay, wonderful. After 3 years in development, The Last of Us Factions, the one IP that could have actually made them some money, is canceled. Numerous layoffs that have been announced, some of which we learned are still on the way, coming into the form of Insomniac Games, thanks to the leaked documents, and that is very sad. The PlayStation 5 Portal, the handheld that's probably the most returned item in 2023. No one's talking about it. The only person that's actually real world using it is my very good friend and friend of the community, Mr. Badbit, who's playing Baldur's Gate 3 on it everywhere he goes. He's the only one.
And John Wolf.
And John Wolf. John Wolf is actually, and he's Mr. Xbot, by the way. He's playing it and he's enjoying it. Good if you are getting real world use out of it. But is anybody in the media playing it? No, they're not. And finally, the PlayStation 5 Slim comes out. Besides holding up your $550 device that was raised by $50, they give you plastic toothpicks to hold this thing up, and then have the gold to look you in the face and be like, "You want to stand that thing erect? Pause. You need to spend $30, which is kind of nefarious." Okay, and then of course you want to add some more fuel to this fire. After a 2-year hiatus from being too good to do shows, they deliver 2 of the worst shows in PlayStation history. Absolute garbage. was shown at these showcases.
Super garbage.
Right, and we're still waiting for. We got 3 days, folks, for the
secret.
super. That's right, the secret squirrel one that's coming on the 31st. When we're right 10 seconds before the new year, it's going to show up.
Yeah.
That's when it's going to happen. And
that was the leak. The leak was our super secret show.
Yeah, exactly. It a show for us for sure. And of course, rounding off this poop Sunday with the cherry on top is the worst data breach in history of gaming, the history of PlayStation. All of that, folks, happened in 12 months. And the only thing that I have here, if you want to be froggy and you want to give some credit where credit is due, Spider-Man 2 is a really good game. It's very much Spider-Man, so if you're into it like I am, you'll appreciate it. If you're not going to enjoy it. I'm not going to dump on it because I'm having a good time with it. And of course, like I said, for personal reasons, the whole Venom connection is a big deal for me. And of course, they actually gave away DLC in the form of a roguelite for God of War. Now, again, not taking anything away from them. That give credit where credit is due. They did give something away for free. That's amazing. But see, money, I don't understand how I could list what would be considered. I'll put it to this way, see, money. If Xbox would have done 3 of the 10 to 12 things that I listed there, it would have been Xbox is over, Xbox is closing shop,
Fire
Phil Spencer,
Fire
Sarah Bond, get Aaron Greenberg out of there, Matt Booty, Mr. Peaches, get him out, he sucks too. That would have been the headline for many of the gaming media as well as the gaming community. Only 3 of those things, but every one of those things happened in 12 months. How do we get to a point where Xbox's team needs to take notes for what? To fail? To close up their shop? I mean, let's try and have a rational discussion here. It's going to be difficult, but let's talk about it.
So this is the thing. The problem is that none of these, ponies on Twitter or these people in the media, like I don't know what is their allegiance. They have to be and the ponies are not, but the media people have to be getting something from it, right? Because it must be it's the clicks, right? That's why they do it. So that sums it up, right? That sums up why they do this stuff. Windows Central, again, second one, man. I sent you the first article.
I saw both of them. Yes, yeah. I did. Thank you very much for that.
Like the second one where they're sitting here and they're throwing this shade over to Xbox, and I think you would expect them when they see this to frame it correctly, because obviously they know that Xbox has been doing this forever. So to sit there and try to, you can give them the roses like, hey, great job, right, on giving this thing away for free. But to everything about that first tweet that they did was fine until they got to the end where they said Xbox needs to take notes. That's it. It doesn't make any sense. There's nothing that is needed to be taking notes. As a matter of fact, we know that the exact opposite is what is in fact taking place here, where PlayStation is the one that has been taking notes on Xbox, because thankfully through these leaked documents, we get to see everything that they have going on and what they're thinking and what they're feeling. And they've let us know that they're so terrified of Game Pass and it's going to take them down, and Xbox is going to leapfrog them. They need to go and do the same thing. They need to go mobile. They need to do PC. They need to do date and date on PC. Like, these are all things that we are now fully aware of that the ponies don't want to recognize, and the media chooses to ignore because it kills the narrative that exists out there. That's the thing about this leak, and that's why nobody wants to cover it. It destroys the narrative of what PlayStation has going on. PlayStation is right now being 100% out there through this leak, letting everybody know that they messed up, that their plan is outdated, it's old, they screwed the pooch on this one, And that
can I jump in for a second?
Go ahead.
Their exact words, C Money. I want to get this right. Their pillars are outdated. Think about that for a second. Think about what C Money is putting down here, folks. This is coming from Sony's own documents.
It's wild.
Please continue, kind sir.
It's wild, but they don't want to. They don't want to acknowledge it, right? They don't want to see it, right? And it's mind blowing because it's coming out of the horse's mouth. It's coming out from PlayStation themselves. These documents are theirs, but they want to ignore it, right? And then they have the balls, which again, I can't wrap my head around how Windows Central thought that would make sense, but I know why. It's because of the clicks, and that's the frustrating part. Like you're relegating yourself to the same nonsense that we bitch about IGN for. Listen, they could, at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do for your business, right? And that's cool, but understand there's like ramifications for that, right? Like if you become the same as the other ones, the same way people don't want to read IGN's crap or listen to their shows or any of the other publications that are similar to them, you're going to throw yourself in that same pot. Because if now every time you write an article, we're looking for the next little dig that you're throwing out there, it's like, why are we supporting this, right? And that's the frustrating part, because like you said, Jez is a good dude. He's been on the show, many times. We've done an interview with him. He's a cool dude. And he didn't write, to be clear, he didn't write any of these articles, right?
No, he did
Sam
not.
Who did this one, and Brendan Larry did the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So there were different people, but it's like, you can't come out here and ignore the absolutely atrocious year that PlayStation has had in every way, shape, and form. You can say what you want, but in 2022, they may not have released the Starfield or the Redfall that they were planning to, but they pushed it back to give them more time to try to do something with it. They still released first-party games. Multiple first-party games were released in 2022. They weren't the biggest, but they still did it. Whereas literally PlayStation released one game, and that one game, let's just be clear, after release was panned completely for its bugs from all the people who are playing it. Obviously, we know the media decided not to speak on it, but this is something that happened. So what exactly, when they say they should take note, sure, they got a free DLC. We've done that multiple times, right? Love letters, talk about love letters. How about Sea of Thieves, who gave us a pirate's life or a pirate's tale, I forget the name, with
Jack Sparrow,
Johnny Depp's character in there, right? Jack Sparrow. They did followed up with that another free DLC, the Monkey Island one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we talking about here? If anything, PlayStation has taken note that, you know what, it's a great idea to start having some free content, especially, like, let's call it what it is. Yes, they threw some story into this roguelike, the mode for God of War. I didn't play it. But before this came out, there were rumors about a 2024 big DLC from God of War. That was going to be what it was. It's supposed to be a big DLC. I think this is a mode.
Yeah, I think what you're referring to, and you're 1,000% correct in saying so, there was this monstrous DLC, but because Sony is in a pickle and they don't have any big first-party games coming, that has now been doled or moved on to as they're going to be a full-on $70 release. Now, I don't know if that is next year or the following year, but I know that whatever the next God of War is, it was expected to be a paid DLC. It is now being converted into, again, this is the rumors, folks, into a full-on, full packaged release that they're going to charge you $76.43 for. So it's not, it's going to be very much Ragnarok, but maybe not as big unless they continue development on it and make it bigger. But that is where that DLC went, and I think what you're making sense. This mode was shaved off to be given for free and kind of keep people invested. And it's smart. It's smart business. Keep people talking about Kratos, even though no one is talking about this mode. You have a few people like Randall Thor, for instance, really liked it. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you like this roguelite element, that is awesome. But to say that, but I mean, again, and same thing for Sam Tolbert. Listen, if you like it, Sam, that is freaking awesome. And if you think it's a love letter, I believe you. Where I start to kind of scratch my head and ask a couple of questions is the idea that somehow Xbox needs to take note, that needs to consider following suit. And you said it. I mean, let's not even talk about CFDs with the Pirate's Life. Let's talk about the Monkey Island DLC that released this year that got my brother, Neo Mental, literally jumping out of his chair because he's such a fan of it.
But that's not a love letter to the fans.
Did Sam write an article? This is a love letter to anything Monkey Island and Sea of Thieves. My God, Xbox is doing it right. PlayStation, you need to take note. Where's that article?
It's not going to give them clicks. So why write it?
Yeah.
Right? Why spread the good word of what's going on at Xbox? And let's just let people keep thinking that PlayStation is somehow a trailblazer here. And they're setting the way for us Xbox to follow. Like, dude, again, it's crazy, but the numbers don't lie. Xbox has released 10 first-party games this year. 10. A lot of people count to 9, and then they forget that GoldenEye came out. GoldenEye is first party. Okay, so understand they released 10 games this year. Sony releases 1. Where is the article about PlayStation needing to catch up to what Xbox is doing and start releasing some content? Oh, turns out they're never going to write that. Why? Because PlayStation has 5, maybe 6 studios of any consequence. 6. Okay. And they know that they're only going to get either 1 or 2 of those games in a year. And we know 2024 is not one of those years, right? So we're ready to look at 2025. You're going to get 1 or 2. And then they're going to push whatever else is there, 2026. Maybe after 2025, you get into a yearly rotation of these games coming out if they didn't have to pivot too hard from the games as a service route that most of them were already taking. But like, dude, we have more games coming next year than PlayStation has first party coming out till the next console releases.
That is what it certainly looked like. And based on some of the stuff that listen, folks, I would never reveal what I know because I respect Xbox too much. I can tell you that get ready for a year that's going to blow your mind. That's all I can say. And I'm comfortable saying, like I said, I let the cat out of the bag, and I didn't really do that. I mean, obviously, Idle Sloth did the channel a huge favor. We actually got picked up by 2 publications for the Gears of War conversation, and that's a fact. That the Gears, the Marcus Phoenix collection, folks, it exists. It exists, and I don't know when it's going to come out. I'm hoping that 2024. I think it would be a great time to bring that out because I don't know about you folks. I'm starving for Gears. I just finished running through the DLC Hive Busters. I try to play that every December. One of the most amazing pieces of DLC for Gears I've ever played. And I'm hoping that because so many new people are going to be joining Xbox this year and next, especially when Call of Duty is going to be dropping into Xbox Game Pass, it would be a great time to reintroduce this franchise that is a pillar, that is a legitimate pillar of the Xbox platform to new gamers. I think it's a perfect timing. But please continue.
100%. 100%. And I mean, all signs point to that being the case. It looks like that's going to happen. It looks like we're going to get news about Gear 6 next year as well. I mean, we have a lot ready to go in the pipeline for games releasing and then new games being announced. Like this avalanche of games and game news that we're going to have in 2024 is going to be unlike anything that has ever happened in gaming for a particular console. Okay. It's going to be dramatically like intense over what we've experienced before, with so much that's lined up to come out. It's really crazy. And keep in mind, again, these articles coming out about, I mean, this article saying that they should take note. Listen, the thought should not ever cross your mind to type the words Xbox take note of PlayStation. Okay. Exactly. Like that you can see what's happening. You can see what's coming. And for you to say that, it's insane. Again, PlayStation has like 6 studios of note. Everything else they bought or made that are for multiplayer games of service that they never released jack crap for, right? They closed any other studio of consequence that wasn't making the same, third person over the shoulder sad dad simulator. Okay, this is what they've done. Where Xbox, you literally have Satya coming out after spending $90 billion on studios and publishers and saying we're doubling down. We're not done. We're doubling down. Where are the articles about PlayStation needing to find funding and go get some more studios so that PlayStation customers can have games to play, not just 1 or 2 a year?
Yeah. And
let's not forget that Xbox is giving us day and date games into Game Pass outside of first party.
Yeah.
Last year we got 50 day and date games into Game Pass. 50. So that's crazy. But again,
it's funny you say that, because a very prominent member of the community, Nico Muller, he's consistently out there dropping news nuggets as well. And he did a public service announcement message, if you will, see money. And he says, if you got an Xbox for Christmas, you definitely joined at the right time. And he had a picture here. And this is just what we know so far. 40 games, including first party, coming to Xbox Game Pass in 2024. Mind you, we're still in 2023. So think about that for a second. Crazy. Already, before the new year even starts, 1 minute into the new year, we already know that Xbox Game Pass has confirmed for us as consumers that you are at the minimum going to get 40 games in your service, which are day and date and their first party AAA bangers. And we asked the question once again, C Money, where does it say that PlayStation needs to take note? I'm kind of curious, that absentee ballot that is floating around. Where is that article? Where are those articles about PlayStation maybe taking a page out of the way Microsoft treats its consumers? Because I haven't seen any of those.
Yep. Listen, it's fine to sit there and you want to critique Xbox or say, hey, we would like this to be better. All those fun things, great, do it up. But make sure you're balancing your palette there, right? Make sure you have the other side of the spectrum taken care of, where you're giving them their roses, and it looks like nobody wants to do that, right? So they're quick to complain for more, right? They want more. Xbox, do this, but they don't want to sit there and say, yo, Xbox is changing the game. PlayStation, what are you doing? PlayStation, how are you going to keep up? PlayStation has no games announced for 2024 outside of remasters. Where are these articles from? From Windows Central, man? Where are the articles? The articles is supposed to be Xbox leaning. Where's the article? It's asinine. And listen, I know that it's very easy to get caught up in the hype, right? It's very I'm very aware that most of the people who talk about this stuff have no idea what's going on. You just look at any of like my Twitter posts and see the replies in there, and people just talking stupid shit, like stupid stuff that they have no idea like what they're talking about. It's insane how uninformed most of the people who are on Twitter and who are reading these articles and who are saying these things in the replies, how uninformed they are. And that's why it's so stupid that these people who are supposed to be Xbox leaning don't write articles that expose the other side of it. I don't know if it's fear. Are they going to get like they're not? I mean, I don't think PlayStation is looking to send them a lot of stuff, but I don't know. Did they get? I mean, there's free DLC for God of War. I'm assuming that's the only reason they covered it like that. What I don't know what else that they've put out there for PlayStation, but is Sony sending them stuff? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they are. So maybe they got to keep them in their good graces. I'm not quite sure. But I mean, again, like you can see the road ahead. There's one side that's clearly set up to dominate the news cycle all year. And that's Xbox. The only way you're going to hear excited times for PlayStation is if they get another leak next year. Maybe they expose some more stuff that they're not going to release anytime soon. Because that's all that we got this year. We got a game that is, Spider-Man 2, which is fine. And then we got a leak. And that's it. Everything else was a third party for a second party deal, whatever it is, and the other games are gone. Just like Fuzzy said, nobody's even the word Forspoken was a made up word, and everyone forgot that word even exists. Okay, no one's gonna ever.
That came and went out. And listen, I know that Final Fantasy 16. I know was good for a lot of people, but it didn't sell. PlayStation players didn't show up like they normally do for their own first party stuff. And that's another known fact. That's just it is what it is.
At this point, what these PlayStation gamers don't understand is that they're actually more of an Xbox fan at this point than they are PlayStation, because the vast majority of games that they play are going to be Call of Duty and Minecraft. Both.
Yeah. No, you
first party titles, bro.
You're definitely onto something. Listen, Fuzzy. Let's bring you into the conversation. I really want you to take your time with this point because, again, this is not an attack. I want this to be clear. No one's attacking Sam Tolbert for his opinion. Apparently, he's excited. He's a God of War fan. That's amazing. He considered this to be the best DLC launch of the year. Good on him. Absolutely. But to suggest that somehow Xbox needs to take notes of anything that Sony is doing is ridiculous on a level that someone that has been writing in journalism as much as he has. Like I said, if the article simply goes, this is one of the best DLC launches of the year, it's a complete love letter to fans and the franchise, and that's the article, I'll read the article because this guy's excited, and I'm excited for him because he's excited, because that's the kind of gamer I am. If you're having fun, then I'm smiling, because that's what gaming is all about. But then when you add to the fact, Xbox needs to take notice because they gave free DLC. Well, I don't know. Let's just look what came in the way of updates and free DLC just for shits and giggles before I hand you over the mic. Halo Infinite, right? The potato of modern day multiplayer shooters released for free some of the best Halo 3 maps in the Halo franchise, period. Grounded got a massive update, and there's another one coming in the form of Forge, where you could make your own levels. You could make your own stuff. Forza Horizon 5. The game is old as dirt. But you know what it gets? And you said it yourself, sometimes weekly DLC, right? I mean, I can keep going. Minecraft keeps getting updated. All of these other gas games keep getting updated. But Sony does it once, and somehow they're the prodigal son. I mean, come on, man. Let's be for real here. Please, by all means, take it away.
Well, here's the thing. The article, I think if he had phrased it differently, or like you said, just focused on that it was good DLC for him, it'd be a non-issue. But when you say Xbox should take notice, and they're the ones that have been doing updates, up res, more frames, HDR, including additional content. Like there are games like State of Decay 2 that are still being supported. I think that game is like 5 years old now, at least. I think it came out in like 2017, and it still gets updates.
Yeah.
Forza Horizon 5, it's at least 2 or 3 years old, and it has its own equivalent of a Forge mode, and they keep on updating that with additional content that you can add for the track builder and things like that, or event builder. Weekly updates on cars, whole new seasons, and things along those lines. They also did a love letter in Forza Horizon 4 with the whole Project Gotham racing track layout in one of the story modes. And they've done kind of like little side things as far as the story modes within Forza Horizon that are kind of like a love letter to previous Forza titles or other titles within Xbox's history. Like there's even a Halo mission in one of the stories. I think that was for 4, maybe that's in Forza Horizon 5. But there's tons of times when they do that type of thing. In fact, there's ones where they do the same roguelike type add-on, like if you look at Ghostwire Tokyo with the Spiders DLC. So there's examples of what they've done already for Xbox. So it's not like they should take note. It's almost like, if anything, PlayStation took note. But I think the guy may have been mainly, eyes focused on Halo as far as the single player content type of thing. But after the outcry for the online or the multiplayer to get seasons on track and stuff, that became the focus. So that's on track. And who knows as far as if we get anything further as far as the story, or if we get a new story before this generation's up. But I think his target was that, but the way he phrased it just came across either disingenuous or uninformed to some extent. Like there are tons of examples that Microsoft has done where PlayStation should probably take note. Like I'm actually surprised that they did the God of War DLC for free when The Last of Us 2 DLC or upgrade or whatever you want to call it should be the one that's free, but they're charging $10. Like that's their MO this entire generation. You buy that DualSense controller, guess what? That's not enough. You got to pay $10 extra to play your old games with the functionality of the controller you already paid for, which I think is like complete BS to me. Like if I bought the console and the controller came with it, you should make the programming for that controller, not charge me again. Like I know some people would champion BMW with the heated seat debacle. I don't know how many people are aware where every BMW came with heated seats installed from the factory, but if you wanted to use them, you had to pay a subscription or an upcharge fee for it existing already on the car, even though
I
it's
did not
kind of
know
a
that,
standard feature. I mean, they've done away with that because of the pushback. I mean, realize how stupid that sounds. Every BMW that runs down the assembly line has heated seats, but now you need to pay a subscription to use it. You don't pay the subscription, you don't get the heated seats in the winter.
That is crazy.
And that feels like what PlayStation was modeling this $10 upgrade for things like The Last of Us 2, or even
aren't they
Ghost of
building a
Tsushima.
car? So maybe there's a correlation there. I don't know.
but it's so weird to me where, okay, I get Windows Central, you need to expand, you need to get some more traffic to your site, marketing and advertising dollars need to meet the books or whatever you expect for the end of the year. But I think this would have been the wrong article. Like if you're going to have anything that is of substance that PlayStation does that maybe Xbox should take note of, the only thing I could think of, and it was in some obscure articles way back when that I don't even know if PlayStation's ever going to wind up actually doing this, was the multiple entitlement for like their PC titles or for games you already own being in a streaming service. I think that's what it was. It was more so like if you were to subscribe to PS Plus and you already own a game that's not in the subscription, you could still stream it via that system, as opposed to like with Xbox, the only game streaming that they have right now, I mean, unless you're doing direct console like remote play kind of thing, is to have it where it's the games that's in Game Pass. You couldn't add in your existing library
Right.
type of deal.
Well, Phil did already announce, they already said that they were going to have the feature where you can just stream your own games,
Right.
not the remote play. So they're working on it.
Yeah,
Sure.
and I think the biggest roadblock right now is the actual third parties, as far as the actual developers and publishers of those other IPs that are not first party related. So those are the ones that kind of are like, hey, we want more money out of this deal. And somehow maybe Sony already had that written into some of their exclusivity or marketing deals and things like that. So that's the only thing that I can see that PlayStation's doing that Microsoft should take a note of. But then again, they're already working towards that anyway. So there really isn't anything else. Like, okay, there's batteries built into the DualSense controller, which I already have an issue with the fact that they only last 4 hours, and I got stick drift on one of them. And I was the type of guy where I don't like buying a second controller for a console that I'm the only one using. If there's never going to be a player two on that console, why do I need to buy a second controller? Oh, that's right, because they die so fast. I need to have the other one on the ready. That just feels weird to me in comparison to my Elite controller that I can go 3 days not putting it on the charger pad and it still works fine. And that's with 8-hour days each day of playing the game. So, or any game for that matter. So it just feels weird that they picked this particular game or this game mode to say Xbox should take note. All along, when Xbox has been doing stuff that should be noted in the actual gaming media industry as far as things that they're pushing forward. Like we always used to give Xbox guff about, the free to play games having to have Xbox Live to play them. And they fixed that after they tried to do the double price thing, which we gave community pushback on. They corrected course, and they even gave that as an extra bone kind of thing. So I don't see where this really makes sense, other than maybe if he had said, well, 343 should possibly take note for single player content. That would have made more sense. But anything phrased outside of that is just silly to me, especially when you look at all of the free content that's given with any of the games, that whether they be live service or even single player stuff, there's always add-ons. Like Minecraft is a perfect example. Yes, there are microtransactions. If you want the Sonic collection where it's like 15 skins, you can pay for it, or you can accept the 3 that they give for free if you don't feel like paying for the entire collection. There's the perks and rewards in Game Pass. You already have the subscription, check monthly for either updated skins, weapons, and things like that in various games, and all the additional content they do for State of Decay, Forza Horizon, Forza Motorsport, Flight Simulator for that matter, because there's a lot of free content. Sure, there's other paid content there as well, but there's a lot of free stuff, which is mainly the map stuff, and occasionally like the built by Asobo or Microsoft themselves planes that are usually added in. Now there are a few that you need to pay for because, well, they're additional or brand new models or whatever added to the game, but that's all part of what Xbox has been doing for years, where there is a free content path, and then there's the additional content path, and more times than not, there's free content on upgrades and things like that. And I don't think Xbox gets enough credit. Like I think somebody made mention earlier about the whole smart delivery aspect of things. Like that used to be like people used to call it a buzzword before the generation started. And then they saw how dumb the delivery was for PlayStation, where it's like, well, if you want to, transfer your PS4 game to your PS5, you have to uninstall it on your PS4 first, and then make sure that you push the updates on your PSN subscription to get your save file in the cloud, and then download that. It was like, and you still didn't get the up-res stuff. You just got your save. That was just to get
So
your
basically,
save.
they're asking you to fall for the banana in the tailpipe, is what you're saying.
Exactly. But yeah, it's
ridiculous.
It's a bad article in the sense of how it was worded or phrased. It's misdirected, I think, for the most part, as far as Xbox needing to take note of PlayStation. Like, I'm pretty sure there are some ponies in the chat or out and about that are like, hey, they should take note of, their bangers or their sales numbers. And it's like, it's great to sell 50 million consoles, but when your top selling game really isn't hitting 10 million, what sense does it make to sell the consoles? It's just that goes to show that the casuals are buying the box and then playing 2K or Madden or Fortnite or whatever.
For that matter. Yeah, they're playing a handful of games, and it's not first party, because a perfect example of that is we know that there were at least 50 million PlayStation 5s. What's also interesting in that conversation, and this is facts, folks, they've only moved 6 million copies. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying that if there are 50 plus million PlayStation 5s and Spider-Man 2 is a console exclusive, which it is, it's not on PC and it's not on PlayStation 4, and they sold only 6 million, that's not a good look, man. It's just not. So we're not seeing those articles like, hey, Insomniac, Insomniac needs to change the formula to bring people in, and they need to be better so they can sell 10 million. I mean, where were the articles where it could have suggested? And this is a brilliant point. And I'm no rocket scientist, folks. What about actually releasing day and date on PC? They would have sold 10 million copies of this of it. They would have. Yeah. That's a fact. And they're going to release it, because I know I saw some stuff out there. I don't know if it was legit. Actually, like a help wanted sign. Help bring this to PC. I don't know if that was true or it wasn't. If it is, I'm embarrassed for Sony. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
They didn't put the help wanted sign out. It was that in the hack, the actual playable model for PC was in that hack as well.
Oh, it was. Oh, okay.
So the help wanted was from other not hackers, but other modders to make it feature complete.
I wanted to make sure, because I'd have been embarrassed. But listen, let me catch up on the super chats and we'll get everyone out of here, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed the content enough to hit the subscribe button. We crossed 14K last Friday, so big thank you for making that happen before Christmas. That was a really big deal for the channel. Awesome. And we're like 1408 now. Come on, folks. We want to get to 15 now. Now I'm going to push the envelope. We got to get to 15, and hopefully we can do that next year. But let me catch up on the super chats. First of all, Jax82 drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says 2023 has been really great for Xbox Game Pass. Just beat Hellblade yesterday. Hopefully you used headphones through the whole game, because it literally changes the game. 2024 is going to be insane. Cannot wait. Just for $16.99 a month, cannot wait. Yeah, I mean, the value proposition is ridiculous. Whole Grain Bread, who's been a channel member for 5 months, dude, thank you so much for that. He says 80K/13MN is 0.61%. It's crazy that they are focused on that. Also, how does a person who spent 400 hours on a game can call it boring is crazy to me. Must not be as if they spent 400 hours on Starfield. Yeah,
that's not even 1% of the people who played Starfield complain. If you were on Amazon right now and you went to go buy something and you saw it had 4.9 stars, you'd be like, yo, that's pretty damn
buying
good.
That. I'm buying
but
that.
Somehow, less than 1% of the reviews on Starfield are at least documented mixed ratings, and Starfield's trash.
Well, don't forget about that subset of group that played 0.8 hours and were like, I'm just doing my part. This game sucks. There you go. Merry Christmas for everybody. Muscalito drops an outstanding, very generous $10 super chat and says, hey guys, I'm thinking about getting into content creation. That is awesome. Welcome. I was curious if you have any strategies for staying current on news. There are accounts / sites of particular importance you follow. Yeah, brother, DM me on X or Twitter. It's at Mr. BoomStick XL. I'll follow you and I'll give you the best advice I could give you. And of course, for free. Whatever you need, I'll be more than happy to kind of give you how I got there, and we'll make it happen. Sir X-Men drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Imagine if they make Starfield multiplayer later." I think that is what ZeniMax Online is currently doing
Oh,
in secret, because
that'll be wild.
there is a world where people would love to play this monstrosity of an IP multiplayer. That's not how I would personally play it, but that's fine. There is room. Does it make sense? There's an Elder Scrolls Online. There's a Fallout 76 Online. This has already been written. Its own script is already written. How that's going to play out, I'm not sure. How it's going to correlate to the Starfield single player, I'm not sure. I will say this: I do not want their chocolate in my peanut butter, meaning that Starfield single player, let it be. Starfield multiplayer, let it be. It could be two separate entities. I do not want the mixed reality. I don't need multiplayer in a single player game. And Starfield players who appreciate the vastness of space and going on these journeys with just the NPCs, they'll appreciate that. Let the online be its own thing, and I'll be happy, and I will even give it a shot. We have here Gerald Mack. Gerald Mack, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "It's like these dudes woke up from a bad dream that Starfield was owned by Xbox and they started to hate it again because the dream was real." I mean, it's fascinating. It really is. Highlander 001 once again has gifted 5 double barrel gaming memberships. Dude, that is crazy generous of you. Thank you so much for that. We have a new channel member in the form of Big Boy Mike. What's going on, Mike? How you feeling, brother? Welcome to the channel. Sir X-Man drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, "Can you imagine an exclusive Condemned 3 from Sega?" Folks, I'm going to tell you this. I don't know this for a fact. This is complete speculation. There is something cooking right now between Xbox and Sega. And I have a strong suspicion. And I said this a couple of weeks ago. People are like, Boom, you're crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Does it? Ubisoft has a service. EA plays a service, right? All these services. There's all these services. Everybody wants to be in a service. Tell me where it doesn't make sense for Sega, who's going to be considered the comeback kid of the universe, when they release all these old IPs coming back in a big way. Did you see that Streets of Rage? Did you see that Shinobi? Did you see that Crazy Taxi? And that's on top of everything else that's coming out. I have a feeling that a Sega channel is in development. The Sega channel is going to cost X amount of dollars per month on Switch, on PlayStation, on PC. Where it's not going to cost you anything is on Xbox when it's added to the service like EA Play, because this is where the Super Games initiative that has been publicly announced by both Xbox and Sega. And it makes perfect sense to drop that service and to entice development for Microsoft to spend the money to invest in Sega, and for Sega to then say, okay, we're going to make money on the service from these other entities, but because we have now got this bag to from Microsoft to do all these games, we're going to put that Sega channel in Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. I don't know. Again, that's just complete speculation, but something's cooking. Let's see. Reggie Mobile 9, good friend of the program, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "Great show, Boom. See Money and Fuzzy. We live in a world where media will manipulate and lie for clicks quite openly. It's very disappointing." Royal Boyle 78, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the program. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Good afternoon, Boom. Keep doing what you do. Always here to support the show, brother. That's very kind of you, and we certainly appreciate it. Happy New Year to you, yourself, and Mrs. Boom. And of course, that extends to you and your family as well, dude. Thank you so much." Meek Gamer drops a $2 super chat and says, "Y'all be lying with a straight face. we talked a lot. I don't know where the lie was, but if you saw it, you're a good detective. I don't know what to tell you, man. Thanks for the $2 super chat, and hopefully you sub the
Much
channel.
appreciated, me.
Much appreciated for sure. Boss Red 77 drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, PlayStation does not have a roadmap. It's just that. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. PlayStation does have a roadmap. It's just that it's heading off into the sunset. That's what you did there, Boss Red. Good stuff.
Oh, shit.
Adidas 20, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says after the mailing season slows down, I'm taking some time off to game while Xbox withdrawal I'm having. Yeah, well, listen, brother. Yeah, you absolutely, listen, without mail carriers, we wouldn't be able to. I mean, people still write letters, folks. It's important. So thank you for your service. Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, Insomniac taking notes on Hellblade 2 from their first trailer, not even the most recent one at the VGAs. Yeah, that was in the documents. Insomniac, who is in my opinion, the tip of the spear for Sony PlayStation Studios, not Naughty Dog. Again, my opinion, are taking notes. Goes to show you how important. And I'm looking right at you, Colin Moriarty. I remember the podcast distinctively. Why did Xbox even buy Ninja Theory?
Now you know.
Well, so your studio can take notes. How about them? How about them apples? Just saying.
To keep that in mind, they taking notes from Xbox Studio and Ninja Theory for Hellblade 2.
Yep.
Understand that being a first-party studio, they have access to the other studios and what they're making. They know what's going on at the other studios. They have summits and things like that where all the heads get together.
Mm-hmm.
And
like Marvel, they have those big getaways. Yes.
So that's telling you that Insomniac saw everything that PlayStation is working on, and they said, nah.
Ninja fam. Theory. I'm gonna go look at Ninja Theory. Embarrassing. You know what? I think the way you put it was certainly much. This is why you're a host of your own show. That's even more embarrassing. Think about what SC Money just put out there for you. I have to laugh. I'm laughing at you, PlayStation. Your first party studio went and looked at all the work that's going on at PlayStation Studios. And you're like, nah, fam, that's not good enough. We're gonna go look over here. Oh, look at you, Ninja. How you doing? This is that gift. This is that gift, folks, with the dude that's looking at the chick that looks like the other chick. He's walking with PlayStation Studios and he looks at Xbox Game Studios like, whoa.
We need to make that.
That's what this is.
I need that ASAP.
That's what this is. This is embarrassing. Listen, it is what it is. G Mania 1 drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, what drives me crazy? Every time Xbox does something good, the first thing ponies say is Sony sold more consoles than Xbox. Yeah, it's the only thing it's the only thing that they have. And listen, congratulations on selling the boxes. That's awesome. But what else you got? It can't because again, I think going back to the Starfield thing, we'll hear quite openly how many consoles PlayStation sold, how they're dominating the console sales better than PS4. But no one is talking about the fact that Starfield, the potato of the Xbox brand, the redheaded stepchild, if you will, of Bethesda, is considered a platinum level rated title for sales, for revenue made on Steam, one of the biggest platforms in gaming. No one's talking about that, and that's how you know that the fight is fixed. That's how you know that the opinions are skewed and they're simply geared towards, hey, hate on this box, we'll get clicks. Parade this box around, you'll get clicks. That's just unfortunately the way it is. Gerald Mack drops an additional $5 super chat and says, the PlayStation media is just doing their job. We as Xbox fans need to do ours in stopping it. Letting them Jedi mind trick us into keeping them relevant. Yes, yeah. This is not the droid you're looking for. I hear what you're saying. Gamer by Choice has been a channel member, folks, for 51 months. Holy matrimony! I think that might be as long as the channel's been around. We've only been around for 6 years. He says this. It shows that Sony's market leadership is manufactured by support from media pushing the narrative. I have given up on my MS getting a fair shake until Xbox becomes market leader. Then hate may end. I think and I hear onto something, brother. Thank you for the generosity. That's crazy generous of you. But I think what you're referring to as the leapfrog effect that Sony is expecting to happen this year, or at least sooner than later. And again, that's their own words, folks. Meek Gamer drops an additional $2 super chat and says, Where's the Halos story? Yeah, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Of course, IGN got it wrong. Instead of calling it Halos, they called it Halos, and their story was written. They didn't have a follow-up. That sucks. I put it on 343. As a single player dude, you failed me. But I'm also a multiplayer guy, and I've been eating good. So, I mean, here's my thing, Meat Gamer. Where is your Last of Us? Oh, that's right. It was canceled right in your face. So you can't play multiplayer. What about the Horizon Zero? Oh, that's right. That's vaporware. And let's see, Twisted Metal, gone. SOCOM, nowhere to be found. I don't know. Does PlayStation have first-party multiplayer? I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that for a second. The answer is they wanted to have shit. Is what they have.
That Spider-Man GTA Online, which that
Spider-Man, which would have been awesome. I would have played it. Guess what? Canceled. So again,
but they can't hack it. Like they can't do it, so they don't.
You said the word hack. I saw what you did there. They can't hack it. Shame on you. Listen, the truth of the matter is, Meat Gamer. Listen, we appreciate the support. Be careful where you throw stones when you live in the glass house. That's all I'm going to say. Don't mention you got great single player stuff over there. No one's doubting that. That's why I have a PlayStation 5. I love that stuff. If you're new to the channel, I talk highly. I praise Sony for their single player content on a regular basis. But if you're asking, and you're not even asking politely, you're asking facetiously, where is that single player Halo? 343 failed, and that's why the studio was repurposed. And there's new people in leadership, and that's why the next Halo, which is probably going to be a launch title, is using Unreal Engine 5 and not the current engine, which is I'm all for that. But you got to call a spade a spade. When we talk about multiplayer, that's something that Sony only wishes that they had.
He was throwing shade on the IGN article with the W in it. So instead of calling it Halo,
yeah, they could. That was done on purpose by IGN. Yeah, they absolutely. That's not a typo. They quite obviously did that on purpose. But that's what IGN does. Again, folks, IGN is kind of moving towards the free magazine on the street. That's where they're moving right now. They're the Inquirer
on the street.
Right now, they're the Inquirer. They're still. You got to buy the Inquirer when you're buying your groceries. It's still on the rack. The more that they can do these kind of things, they're kind of starting to slide a little bit. They're going to be that plastic bin on the corner that people put garbage into. That's where they're going. Sorry, it's a fact. Pile. Yeah, take free paper, and people put their garbage in there because they don't want to. They don't want to go next to the can because it's overfilled. So, being that this is next to the garbage can, they're like, yeah, dump it in there. That's what's happening. I should be better. Just be better. Sorry. Fantas Archer drops an additional $5 super chat and says, sorry to have to say this, but there's such a thing as a video game racism. Xbox seems to be a victim of it. Why does this really exist? Okay, so here's the thing. Race is, and that's a razor's edge. I see what you're saying.
You get the sentiment of what he's saying.
Yeah. He's not being just because it's Xbox. He's actually meaning that there is an us versus them when it comes to the way that Xbox is treated. I'm just a little uncomfortable using racism as a scope because racism. First of all, it shouldn't exist, and it does. And it sucks that we're in 2023 and it does. We're all human beings. We all bleed, right? We're all made the same way. The fact that racism is based on color, creed, sexual orientation, religion is gross. But I do, Francis Archer, see your point. And again, there is, nobody wants to admit that there is a bias, if you will, to Xbox. There is. Just look at what we're talking about today. Is a perfect example. But brother, thank you so much for the comment, because it does make you sit back and think, and that's what we're supposed to do on these shows. So shout out to you, brother. Thank you for the generosity. We have Lau Shimazaki. Well, Lau, welcome to the program, brother. He drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, "I'm just tired of seeing these people going around how Xbox needs saving when PlayStation has no first-party games lined up." That's a phenomenal point, Lau, and thank you so much for bringing that to the conversation. And more importantly, thank you for the generosity. Highlander 001 drops a $10 super chat on top of his generous gift of 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships. And he says this: just look at SIE. They have no clue of what is going on. They do not have a permanent CEO. They lost major staff, and it took a hack to show anything close to a roadmap. That's very interesting. I never even thought of it like that. And they say Xbox is in trouble. Yeah,
Dude,
the whole
Xbox, everything you just read right now, if this was flipped and they say just look at Xbox and all this stuff came out, like everything he just said, oh my god.
I put it this way. I said this
every
earlier,
day
C-Money.
would be the same.
Yeah, you are onto something here. If this would have look, the list I had was between 10 and 12 items. If you were, and they're all pretty bad, right? They're all real negative takes on the PlayStation brand. No one's talking about it. No one in the gaming media has put this together. I have put this together. It's not because I'm being facetious or I'm trying to be a troll or a console warrior. I'm saying this is what is wrong with play. These are facts. If Xbox would have had only 3 of those, there would have been 173 articles written from everyone from print magazines to online in a day. You would have seen article after article, and that's where the hashtag Fireful Spencer comes from. He knows it. He's heard it. He talked about it on Kinda Funny. He said it on there because I've seen it. I see the hashtag Fireful Spencer. That dude is, when I tell you, he is sharp as a tack. And lastly, we actually have 2. Gerald Mack drops an additional very generous $2 super chat and says, hashtag Matt Booty wasn't lying. If you know, you know, wink, wink. And yeah, Peaches, he said it and people got mad. Like, what do you mean? They don't know how to put games. They haven't even got one game out. And now we kind of look behind the curtain and they have games. And lastly,
spending them out of business.
Spend them out of business, indeed. Yes. I Love Coffee drops an additional $5 super chat and says, I support this channel all the way. 2 videos per day is nuts. The content is like fine wine. Also, you all have no idea what Xbox has planned. Yeah, it's going to be something special for sure. But folks, that is, first of all, this show it went 2 hours, and I apologize to the podcasters here because it's normally a 70-minute show, but we were all cooking, as the kids like to say nowadays, and it was brilliant. And what a way to end XVlog Live.
You got one more snuck in there by.
Oh, it did. Okay. Meek. Oh, okay. Meek Gamer drops a $2 super chat and says, "It's all jokes. Just subscribe, brother." Again, no hate towards you, brother. You have your opinion. It's welcomed here, even if you're a Sony person only. Let's say, for instance, that's your only console. That's okay. Everybody is welcome in this house, and we don't shun. I will tell you this. You'll notice this is probably one of the best chats in the business, and the chat here follows Fuzzy. The chat here follows Doodle and C Money. And we have this amazing community that pushes you to be better and puts you up instead of trying to, tear you down, which I hate to say this, but a lot of Sony people, especially on the Sony podcast, have you ever been in one of those chats? My God, they're as toxic as they come. That's why I stopped watching them, because, you can't go there and have a conversation without being called a whole bunch of names. So it is what it is. let's get to the outros. Fuzzy Belvedere, sell your brand,
He
bro.
also became a member too, just to.
Oh, well, Meet Gamer. That's very kind of you, dude. Thank you, C Money, for that. I would have missed it. So thank you for becoming a channel member. Super appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Let's sell the brand, Fuzzy Belvedere. You obviously you are on many shows. You are one of the content creators in this community that are the tip of the spear when it comes to the racing genre. Your channel dedicated not only to racing, you talk about other things, but if you want the best racing information on both sides of the platform, both with Gran Turismo and of course Forza, you definitely should subscribe. Fuzzy, sell the brand, and where can people find you on social media?
Oh, just want to start off by thanking you for having me on today. Always awesome being on the show with you, Boom, and same thing with C Money. Always love your guys' takes and just having the conversation and talking about our favorite hobby. It's always awesome to do. And thanks to everybody in the chat for joining us. Please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We always appreciate you guys checking us out and interacting with us in the chat. And for those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me tomorrow right here, 10 a.m. for Breakfast with Boom right here on this channel. Look forward to seeing you guys there. And then later that evening, I believe we're going to be doing an Xbox Ultimate at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculations channel. Tomorrow night, and then Saturday is going to be the Shop Podcast on PTK Blam's channel, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then right back here for Xbox. Well, are we doing Xbox Lunch Break Special Monday?
No, that is okay. New Year's Day. Mrs. Boom is off. We'll be back at it next Tuesday with the Xbox Factor Podcast, which of course we missed this weekend, and obviously then the shows will continue as normal. Thankfully, we'll have all the holidays behind us.
Well, for everyone out there, have a safe and happy new year. And that is it. Thanks again.
Thank you, brother. Super appreciate you joining us today. Obviously, we didn't get a chance to hang out Monday. I was like, I got to see if Fuzzy wants in on this because he likes the salt and he likes the spice. And well, I think we delivered. And speaking of spice, folks, if you're not subscribed to C Money and Doodle, well, I'm here to tell you, you're doing it all wrong. They just had one hell of a banger of a show yesterday. The guest list was incredible. They do this, and again, it's relatively new. It's their end of the month block party, and what they do, and I'm going to get there eventually. Mrs. Boom has to be off because I'm out the house when they usually start the show, so I'll get there eventually, but. It is great because it's an end of the month celebration, and they get a lot of really big time guests. And yesterday was no slouch. Talk about it, C Money. Sell the brand of your YouTube channel where people can subscribe, and more importantly, follow you on social media.
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, thank you again, brother, for having me on. Appreciate it. Missed last week.
So it's always a pleasure, bro.
Excited to be here, man. And obviously Fuzzy, my man, he was part of the block party yesterday. It was a dope show. So yeah, for sure. We would love to have you come check us out. But first of all, you can follow me on Twitter and X to hear all my pony slander that might come up every once in a while. And that is at C Money Forever right there on the screen. And then our channel is called On Point for Gamers. We have 4 shows a week that we do. I did just drop a link in the chat. And we did just cross 11.5. So we're very, very thankful for that. We're halfway to 11.6. So, we definitely appreciate you guys coming by and check it out. So we have a show yesterday that we did was our end of the year blowout because it was the last one, right? So we did the end of the year blowout. We had Fuzzy, we had the Black Viking on, we had Hargeet, we had Wandering Dutch. So we had a dope ass ensemble along with Doodle, myself, and Madman. So we had a really good show. It was phenomenal. It was actually one of our biggest shows ever. So we do appreciate everybody who did tune in. If you didn't, please go check it out. But our normal show is on Monday. The first one is Morning Quest at 9 a.m. Eastern. this particular week, because of New Year's, we're not going to be going live on Monday. So we're doing a special New Year's Eve edition of Morning Quest. That'll be Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time. And then we will be back with our first Her, Him, and a Guest of the year. That's going to be Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And that's going to be with our dude Post Up. Going to start the year off right. It's going to be a dope ass show. So definitely come check it out. And then we have our gaming podcast, On Point, the gaming podcast. That's on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So that's going to be dope. And then we have our new show on Friday nights, 6 p.m. Eastern, called The Night Shift. Let's Talk Gaming. And that is actually a weekly show that we just started that we do have guests on. So tomorrow we will have that show. It's at 6 p.m. And we're going to be joined by Retri and Psychonauts. That's going to be a dope show. So definitely come check that out. And then the following week, so next week to start the year, we have our man Dirt Griggity and Black Viking back in the building. So it's going to be dope. So yeah, man, definitely come check us out. We have a fun time, man. It's definitely a fun environment. So come rock with us. And again, we're halfway to 11.6. So we're at 11.5, I think 50 something. So we're almost there. So come check us out, man. Drop a sub, drop a like. We appreciate you.
Definitely, brother. Super appreciate what you're doing. And my God, you're doing as many shows as me. Holy matrimony. Good on you, man. That's right. Get out there and shake hands with the people as you do. Folks, that's going to do it for today's show. Again, this was a little unusual because normally it's never this long. Usually, I think the longest we've ever gone is probably like 90 minutes. But I'm glad that you folks hung around. Big shout out to all of the ridiculous super chats that came in. Of course, all the new channel members. Super appreciate the generosity. I said it yesterday on Prime Time. I want to reiterate it. We have already done the finances for 2024. And what we can confirm today is that next year's Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick will be at the minimum of $1,500. We are going to match what we did this year. We are going to try to see if we can go a little bit higher. But again, now we're starting to get into a scary land space. 1,500 was our biggest giveaway we've ever done. It went really well. Everyone has gotten their prize. The only one that we're still missing is Torino Johnson. Go to my YouTube channel, Torino. Go to the About page. Get the business email there. Just email me that it's you, and I'll send you over the code because you want $100 Xbox gift card. I don't want you to lose out on that. Hopefully, I do hear from you. If I don't hear from you either on Xbox Live, on Siri, on Twitter, or email, tomorrow morning I will re-roll it live on the air, and someone that's in the chat will do another hashtag. Will win $100 gift card. But that Torino Johnson, all you gotta do is email me, brother, and that $100 is yours. And that is literally the last person that we have to get on the list.
He's there, so I think
he's in the chat. I know we've been talking in the chat. So like Mr. Boomstick XL on Xbox, brother. Just message me and I'll send it right over. No fuss, no muss. Again, it's just our way of paying it forward. We love doing this. We love you guys and gals in the community, and we want to, you're so generous with us. The least that we can do is pay it forward. Real quick before you get out of here, if you didn't know, we're giving away to support the devs because we actually do that here. 15 copies of Stalker 2. We're doing a special launch party when that game comes out. It's going to be the first quarter of 24. It's our first big giveaway, and we are buying every one of those copies at full retail price. All you got to do is the math. That's over $1,000 that we're spending to give away. And we do that with the channel memberships. We do that with the super chats. And of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he said, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig, I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest. Well, actually, yes, we'll see you next year on the newest episode of X Vlog Live.
Happy